y'all, it's Taylor from yokieB.com. Welcome to my channel where I share crochet and knitting patterns and tutorials as well as finished projects and lots of fun fiber things. Today I am bringing you my top 5 favorite knitting projects of all time. I say that a little hesitantly because I have so many favorites and it's really hard to decide on just 5, but I chose 5 projects that are really special for specific reasons, whether it be the yarn I used or the things I learned or just me loving it and wanting to wear it all the time. I also have a crochet version of this. I'll link it up here and also in the description box below if you want to check it out. But my favorites are always changing, so I'll probably be making more of these videos in the future. So this is where my top 5 favorites stand right now. So let's go ahead and dive into my top 5 favorite knitting projects of all time. So I'm going to try to do these projects in order of how I made them. First favorite knitting project is my Simone cardigan. You guys have probably seen this before because I've worn it a ton in some of my other videos. This was actually my first knit sweater. You guys are probably familiar with the We Are Knitters kit. It's a really great opportunity to learn some new things, and if you've always wanted to try a sweater, I definitely recommend this one. Y'all, this was a process. So I had only been knitting for I think a few months at this point when I started this sweater, and I really wanted to knit a sweater. That was like my major goal for learning how to knit, was because I wanted to knit sweaters. I wanted a whole wardrobe of knit sweaters, and so I was not wasting any time once I learned. I've talked a little bit about my struggles with trying new things. In my earlier crochet career, I would make lots of accessories and things, but I would never venture into garments, which is what I really wanted to make. I also tried to learn to knit so many times, y'all. Let me tell you, so many times. Finally, one day I decided I am going to learn. No matter how long it takes me, I'm going to stick with it. I am going to get this because I want to knit sweaters and all the other knit things. So I was determined this time, and I stuck with it no matter how long it took, no matter how long it took me to get tension right or the stitches right. I just repeated it over and over and over again. And so I'm so glad that I finally learned how to knit. Now it's so much fun to be able to do both. So I encourage you, if you've always wanted to learn to knit or if you've always wanted to learn to crochet, just keep going. It's just one of those things that it has to like click one day, but it will. So don't give up. My suggestion would just be to try different tutorials, try different methods. I truly believe that if you stick with it and you really want to learn, that you can. So this was my first ever, of course I knit tons of swatches and then like cowls and things like that. I think this was my first major knit project in general. For Valentine's Day that year, I think it was 2018, I asked my husband if I could get a kit from We Are Knitters for Valentine's Day, and he of course said yes, which was awesome. And so I was super excited to dive in. I got started and I didn't really have any trouble with the pattern, but y'all, I made the entire thing. I blocked it, all the things. I finished the whole project and it just did not fit the way I wanted to. Now, I was super happy that I finished it, but I was kind of at a point where I was like, okay, do I keep this and just leave it as it is, or do I frog it and start all over again on my first knitting project? So this was a dilemma I had, but ultimately I thought, am I really gonna wear this? Because I was not happy with the length of the sleeve. I even felt like the shoulder didn't fit correctly. It just didn't have a good fit. The cardigan didn't sit forward enough on my shoulders, so I felt like it was always like coming open or falling back. And so I just thought, I want to wear this thing. For one, I spent all this money on the kit, which it was not cheap. If you know, We Are Knitters kits are not cheap. And so I was like, I am going to wear this. So I decided, and I think this was like the beginning of my frogging frenzy. I am all about frogging something if you aren't going to wear it, if you're not happy with it, and especially if it's like special yarn. I mean, frog that baby. So I frogged it, y'all. It was hilarious because I think too, for myself, I was like, well, this is the commitment I made to myself, that it would just be more practice. So I wasn't going to be upset that I had to redo all of my work. I was just going to have the mindset that this is more practice and I'm going to learn even more about knitting when this is all said and done. So I remade the whole thing, and I've got a whole blog post about it. I'll link it down below. But I was so much happier with it after I remade it, and I had plenty of yarn to do it, thankfully, because I did add some length in the sleeves, and I think, I can't remember all the things, but it's listed in the blog post, so I'll definitely link that. But it was just such a great opportunity to not only learn new things, also gain confidence about making a garment finally, because I don't even know if maybe I had made a crochet garment at this point, or I had just made the homebody sweater. I think that was the only garment I had made besides a little sweater for my daughter in crochet. It was just such a great opportunity to gain some confidence in knowing that garments are not the enemy. I also learned some increases and decreases, just some basics, and then I also learned how it fit, so I could see that it wasn't fitting properly here, and so I can make this adjustment here and it's going to make a difference. That was all such a big help in my knitting journey, and so I think sometimes you just have to dive in and mess up. Like, you have to mess up to figure out how to move forward. So this is why this is one of my top 5 favorite knitting projects of all time, because it is my first garment, my first knit garment, and it was so special to me for that reason, but also everything I learned from it. And now I just have this amazing cozy cardigan that I am super happy with. Number 2 on the list is my Penguono. So I think this is my second knit sweater. I just dove right in. It had all sorts of crazy things in it that I had never done before, but I had so much scrap yarn and I really wanted to use it for this project. I'd seen a couple of them from Amy Small from Knit Collage, and also from Amanda Solomon from Melanated Boho Bay. She actually helped me a lot with it when I was working on it, and so I really wanted to get going on this, and I didn't have to buy any yarn for it because I had all this yarn on hand. So it was a great project. Obviously West Knits has so many amazing patterns. I've done a couple more after this one, and I haven't done one in a while though. I definitely need to make another West Knits pattern very soon, but I was excited to use up scrap yarn. It was also a great opportunity to just learn some new techniques and also challenge myself some more. Even though I wasn't completely 100% happy with the outcome of this, it was such a labor of love. My mom actually has the Penguono now, and so I don't have it to show you guys, but it was certainly quite the project. I would like to make it again, and honestly this time I make it with smaller yarn. The way the pattern's written, you can kind of use whatever yarn you want, but then of course that changes the size, and I just used anything. I didn't check any gauge or anything. I just went for it. I'm like, oh, I like this yarn, let's use this. So that's kind of what I did, and ultimately it turned out a lot larger than I had anticipated, and so I'd like to make another one, maybe with like fingering weight or DK weight or something like that, so that it'll be more like a jacket and not just like a duster. I think I would wear it more as a jacket type. I mean, I love a duster too, but I just wasn't 100% happy with it, but I was glad my mom loved it, so I gave it to her. There were just so many parts of this, so many techniques that were so unusual and new to me, because I was new to knitting, period. And so that is why it made it into my top 5 favorite knitting projects, even if I wasn't as happy with the outcome as I would have hoped. It's just something that I learned so many things. I got to use up so much scrap yarn and play with color combinations, play with mixing yarns, like I would hold some yarns together, and it was just a great opportunity to kind of experiment. You know those projects that you're like kind of sad that it's over with because you were having so much fun while making? That was that project. I had so much fun just grabbing anything and mixing colors that were crazy, and it was just a really fun project. So it definitely made it to my top 5. So third on my list of favorites is the As If Tee. So that's the one I'm wearing today. Honestly, I love this pattern so much and would make 100 of them, literally 100 of them. The pattern is from Shay Johnson, and I just think it is genius. So this is another example of a frog win. I made it one time, wasn't happy with the fit, and so I remade the whole thing. The yarn I used for this project is super special. It's from Spectrum Fiber, and the colors are just so pretty. It is mohair in, I can't remember the colors exactly, but I'll be sure to put them right here. The mohair I believe is coral, and then the DK is Ice Lollies, I think is the name of the color, but I love the mint and coral mixed together. This is just such an awesome pattern. Truly, Shay did an amazing job. So I made it the first time. This is my first time working with mohair, and I was super excited about it. I am now obsessed with mohair. I did use wooden needles, which helped with the mohair. I can't remember where I heard that tip, but it definitely helps. So if you're working with mohair or haven't worked with it before, I suggest using wooden needles because it slips a lot less. Now, one thing about mohair is that it does not frog very well. So I frogged this and it was not fun. But the first time I made it, I think I got so excited to finish that I just didn't make it long enough. So I decided to frog the whole thing. I think I'd even blocked it at that point, but I frogged the whole thing and remade it and just made sure that I made it the length that I was happy with. I can't remember if there were any other adjustments or if it was just the length. Once I remade it, I was so happy with it, and this is just another example that if you are not happy with it and you have special yarn that you want to use, frog that baby. Even if you have to take a break from it for a while, but if you have a project in the end that you're gonna wear all the time and that you're so happy with and you didn't waste that yarn, it is so satisfying. I think it's funny that two of my favorite projects are projects that I originally frogged, so I made them 2 times. So that's just a tip, and it's just my opinion. I mean, some people do not like to frog at all, and so that is totally fine. But me personally, if I can make something that I will actually wear out of yarn that was used for something else that I will never wear, it is so worth it to me. So this one certainly made it into my top 5. It is so comfortable. It's like a t-shirt, but then it has that special detail, and so it is such a super cool shirt, and I love it so much. So number 4 on my list is my Sunburst Pillow. This pillow is the first knit collage make along that I actually was a part of, and I absolutely love this pillow. I had this pillow here to show you right now, but I'll definitely put some footage in of my pillow. It is packed away somewhere, ready to go to our new place. This pattern is by Julie Robinson, and she designed it for Knit Collage, the 2020, I believe the spring 2020 make along, or knit along back then. I don't think there had been crochet yet at that point, but y'all, I love this pillow. The texture and the colors, it makes me so happy. I think the yarns I used were the Spun Cloud in High Vibes, and then also a Wildflower mini sampler kit. I'll try to put all the specific colors here for the sampler kit. Also, it's special because it was my first knit along. I had never been a part of the Knit Collage knit along and wanted to be so badly, and it was just such a special and wonderful experience. Julie has the most unique and wonderful designs. I actually took her pattern grading boot camp. She is so knowledgeable, so creative, so sweet. I love taking that boot camp class. She teaches several classes, so I'll be sure to link her information down below if you want to check them out. I think if you sign up for her newsletter, she will let you know when she starts new classes. This is such a special project for those specific reasons. It wasn't a super challenging project, but I just love the pillow so much, and I'm trying to decide. I've had it on my bed. You've probably seen it in another video actually. I've had it on our bed in our bedroom. I may use it on our couch in the living room in our new place. We will see, but I love this pillow. This is my 5th favorite, even though, y'all, seriously, when I was sitting down to write this down, like to write down which were my favorites, I had such a hard time. I truly had to think about not just the item, but the process of the item and what I learned and my different thoughts on it. It is so hard to decide. Let me know if you can relate in the comments below, but when you make something and you put so much time and energy and love into it, it's just hard sometimes to decide if it's your favorite or not. It really is, but this one is for sure a favorite. It is my Plaid Party Cardi. This is such a special design. I just think it is the most beautiful stitch pattern. I think the plaid is like genius, literally genius. I think that Laura Gervitz designed this. I think that's who designed it. But honestly, it is such an amazing design. This was the colors that were used in the sample on the model, and I just was obsessed with these colors. Of course, it's got Dreamland, it's got Daisy Chain, it's got all of my favorite knit collage yarns in it, and I was able to try some colors that I had not tried in those specific yarns. The reasons why this one is my favorite are definitely the yarn and the stitch pattern, and also learning some new techniques. I learned quite a bit with this sweater. I also challenged myself. Like, I have to say that it wasn't the easiest sweater to make, and not because it was super difficult. It was one you really had to focus with. Like, I felt like, you know, a lot of patterns you get in the rhythm, or there's a certain spot that you can just kind of go on autopilot and just, you know, go with it. But this one I never could. Like, I really had to just focus the whole time or I would get off and mess up. And so in that way it was a little bit difficult for me, but it was so worth it because the end result is just this gorgeous texture and special sweater. Aesthetically, I think it's probably my favorite. I just can't get over the colors, the textures, and this stitch pattern. Honestly, it is just so beautiful. The yarn I used for this was also Spun Cloud in the color Lavender Dust, I believe. And then I used, I think, not a Wildflower sampler, but just a mini sampler kit. And it had, of course, Spun Cloud in it. So I did get Dreamland yarn. I can't remember the color. I'll definitely put it up here. And then I also got the Daisy Chain in Sweet Papaya, I believe was the color. and any of the other colors I can't remember, I'll be sure to put up here. I just can't get over how beautiful the design is, and so it definitely had to make it into my top 5 favorites. I would love to know what some of your favorite projects are. I'm always looking for new and fun, exciting patterns, so definitely drop those down below in the comments. I would love to hear what your favorites are. Let me know why they're your favorite too. I would love to hear it. I always love hearing about projects and patterns and just anything knit and crochet, so definitely be sure to comment down below what your favorites are. Thank you guys so much for joining me and checking out my top 5 favorite knitting projects of all time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I would love it if you give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to join me for all the fun crochet and knit things. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!